Call this May 2nd, 2024 Planning Commission meeting to order. Welcome for joining us tonight. We have two items to consider tonight. Before we do that, we're going to look at the minutes for the April 11th, 2024 meeting. What's the desire of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 11th, 2024.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion carries. The items that are being considered here tonight will go before council on May the 20th, 2024. The first item is MP-24-03, Scoresco/Oxford Green Master Plan, and Michael will be presenting.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. The first item this evening is a request from Costco requesting a master plan amendment to increase the maximum developable square footage in the Oxford Green Master Plan Tract A from 138,500 square feet to 152,000 square feet. This will allow for an expansion of the sales area and relocation of their loading dock. Have the location map on the overhead. The property is located at 2855 Jordan Court, northwest corner of Jordan Court and Westfield Drive. This property is just under 19 acres. It's zoned O&I, office institutional. It's developed with a one-story, approximately 138,500 square foot building. The Oxford Green Master Plan was originally approved in 1988. There was a master plan amendment in 1999 to allow for the Costco development. At that time, the maximum allowable square footage was 110,000 square feet. They have come back since for a master plan amendment and expanded their parking field. That was done in 2014. This is the applicant's proposed site plan. So there is a small addition near, so this is the main entrance of Costco here. So you got Windward Parkway, and this is the entrance, Jordan Court here. So you get the main entrance to Costco here. There's a small, about 1,500 square foot addition on the building proposed right here next to where they have their liquor store. And then the current loading dock is on the south side of the building in this location. And they're proposing about a little over 5,000 square foot addition in this location, which then would push the loading dock out into this area here. By pushing the loading dock out to this area, there is a loss of a small parking field. It's 18 spaces that would be lost, and they would add in this new parking lot tree island is what you see here. And then some reconfiguration of this exit out onto Westfield. So the total square footage that they are actually adding to the building is just under 7,000 square feet. As I mentioned, that loading dock just gets pushed forward. The total parking on the site goes from 691 spaces to 673 spaces. It's a loss of 18 spaces. However, the UDC requires 608 parking spaces. So even with the loss of 18 spaces, they still exceed the city's parking minimum by 65 parking spaces. Of course, looking at the master plan amendment review criteria, we found that the proposal represents less than a 5% increase to the overall size of the building. It would not have significant impacts on traffic, and they are exceeding the city's parking minimum requirements. Do not see any significant impacts to the natural environment. The only trees that are being impacted on this site are the landscape trees that the city is required in some parking islands, and there are some conditions to place some trees back in those areas. The applicant also submitted a public participation report It says that they received public comment in support of the expansion, also received some inquiry for some additional information from Windward Point HOA president. That is the townhome development that was approved behind the Costco. And the HOA president did voice concern about traffic with this addition. This item was also shown to the public at the April 10th Community Zoning Information Meeting, and there were no public comments left on the sign-in sheet. Just got some street view photos. So this is the existing liquor store. So that small addition, about 1,500 square foot, is located here. So that tree and that tree would be impacted. We do have a condition where the parking will terminate adjacent to the addition, that they'll have to do a tree and an island there. And this is just looking at that same area from the main entrance into Costco. This is the existing loading dock area. So this is the area about a little over 5,000 square feet that will be improved. This will be for the benefit, I believe, for their meat and deli areas of the store. And then this loading dock will be pushed forward. And this is the area that would be added to the building, and this loading dock being pushed forward. We do have conditions addressing the wall and evergreen screening, that would be extended to screen the loading dock. And this is just a view from, I believe, Jordan Court at the loading dock. So the loading dock, the existing loading dock sits here. So as you can see, currently is pretty well screened. I've been out to Costco, as you probably have too, and it does get pretty busy in their parking lot. Did want to point out there are 2 points of access into the development. And I did want to look at what the parking looks like because it does get pretty busy with the traffic kind of in this main entrance into Costco. But what we have seen in the aerial imagery is that the parking appears to be sufficient at this location. It's just that it is a very big store. It has one entrance, and they've got parking all the way on this side. So there is parking. You just may have to walk to it at busy times. But we looked at the aerial imagery, I think going back to 2013, and the only time that the parking lot really looked more than 40% full was in some of the earlier imagery. This is
Friday and Saturday.
Yeah. So this,
I can tell you when it's Friday.
yeah.
Really well when it's Friday.
So these are from 23 and 22. This is from 2021 and 2019. And then 2018, this is after this area was improved for additional parking. So this is the 2013 imagery. You can see the parking lot is a little bit more full, but you can see that this parking was not developed at that time. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the applicant's request subject to 8 conditions. Condition 1 is the site plan specific condition tying it to the site plan prepared by AEC, dated 3/1/24. Condition 2, maximum gross developable square footage shall not exceed 152,000 square feet in the Oxford Green Master Plan, Tract A. 3, building addition shall complement the existing exterior of the building. 4, property owner shall assess landscaping in the areas in close proximity to the proposed development activity and shall replace missing, dead, or dying landscape material with final approval by staff. 5, a parking lot landscape tree shall be required in the landscape island adjacent to the 1,525 square foot addition on the north side of the building. 6, a large canopy tree and shrub shall be required in the newly created parking lot island near the entrance off Westfield Drive. That's this island here. 7, loading dock shall be heavily screened with a wall and evergreen landscaping to complement the existing condition as approved by staff. And 8, there shall be no outdoor storage on the property, and semi-tractor trailers shall only be parked in the loading dock area with the semi-tractor attached to the trailer at all times. And that concludes the report. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Thank you, Michael. Does anyone have any questions?
I spend an inordinate amount of time at Costco because somehow my family can't coordinate their prescriptions to all come in at the same time. So I spend an inordinate amount of time at Costco. I usually come in the back way. I don't come in Jordan Court. I come in the other way. And I'm looking at this, and the Tree Island is nice and everything. It's really, it's nice. But I come in that road, and my concern is that road's going to run right into, essentially the corner of the building there, and it just doesn't look like it's very forgiving of people who are so irritated that they just shopped in Costco, and now they're just finally getting free and getting out of it. And sometimes you get aggravated drivers there. It's kind of a tight thing right now without the addition. I don't really care. The square footage is very nominal that they're looking to add. And I would prefer they had 100 more parking spots. That would be my preference. But I understand that they're over what they are. But my concern is that, the other way to come in, you come in also from the back street, from back there. You come in, right, on both sides of the building, you can come in and off that street. And there should probably be a stop sign for the employees are mostly using it now, but my guess is that will maybe, I park over in that side lot sometimes too, the one that wasn't there originally. So I'm concerned about a little bit of signage there for traffic flow to work in and out, and I'm a little concerned by where the lineup is.
So that would be something that we would look at during the land disturbance permit process. So we would deal with traffic management. So the appropriate stop bars, stop signs.
Because it's not lined up correctly right now, but it doesn't make that much difference because that building is not all the way out that far. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you come in there, it doesn't totally line up perfectly.
Gotcha. The applicant's engineer is here tonight and probably can address that concern as well.
Okay.
So Michael, just a quick question. So this is their drawing, correct?
Yes.
All right, so I'll save my question for them about the engineering side of it. So the little island that we've put out there, I guess I would have thought that the trucks would have needed that to be able to pull in and back in.
They do. I've been there.
So now we've got an island there. Is that going to prevent bottlenecking of the trucks backing in? I guess I'll ask them that question.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, Michael, we're
Thank
going to
you.
ask the applicant to come forward and make a presentation and answer some questions. Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Julie Miller with AEC. Address is 50 Warm Springs Circle, Roswell, Georgia. Mr. Woodman did an excellent job explaining the proposal that we have before you tonight. To address your concern about the alignment, it does line up. It's just because of the spatial differences, it does flow. I agree that it could probably benefit from a stop bar, stop sign to help manage traffic flow. And then to address your concern, the trucks need 180 feet clear zone, and so that is provided. We proposed that island to have it not be such a wide open asphalt area, but it is within the limits the trucks can back out efficiently with that there. But I am happy to answer any more questions that you have.
And then this drawing is to scale. It's an engineer drawing.
Yes.
All right, any other questions?
Yes, so 2 points of clarification. As someone who only uses that entrance, with the added parking lot, and when that came in, it is free-for-all when you pull in. And so I definitely think, as Michael said later in the process, definitely take a look at that. One of my questions was that you realigning, looks like you're narrowing the current entrance. You've got the dash line, and then you look like you've realigned it correctly. You're necking it down?
No, it is actually staying the same width. It just is shifting.
Okay, so currently it's at the dotted line. I'm just trying to clarify what it's going to be. Or is it going to be the dotted line?
The dotted line is actually like a setback.
Okay.
You're talking about this dotted line right
Yep.
here? Yeah, so this is, you can see now the existing drive comes in almost to the head-on into the building.
Okay.
But we are proposing to shift it south slightly and align it better with the drive aisle that goes in front of the whole warehouse.
Okay. So, again, it will get addressed in the next process with staff. What time of the day are the trucks actually delivering?
I believe most of the time it is in the early morning or late evening. Occasionally there are trucks there during the day, but Costco does try to limit the truck deliveries when a majority of their members are present.
Okay. So when they are fully backed in, they will be recessed so they're not sticking out in the roadway.
That's correct.
Okay, that's the other thing I wanted to double check. So I understand the need to make the liquor store larger and all that stuff, but I think one of the huge problems you have, and it's not related to this project, but if you're going to look at parking as a whole, those pull-in spots on the other side where the liquor store is backing out, as soon as someone attempts to park or pull out, it backs all the way through Windward Parkway, and it is a disaster. And all the gas parking, it is the worst alignment for parking I've ever seen. And until you live it at the holidays, all it takes is one person to pull out and have to realign, and then you've stopped traffic for 10 minutes. So, I think as you're taking parking spots away, and I know that at 40%, 60%, there's many a days it's packed. So, I guess that just, I don't think we're gaining anything from improving. So I hope that there's a stop sign. I hope there's improved lines on the road. But, I think there's a lot to be considered in the next phase. I'm supportive of it. It just seems we're not really making improvements for the community.
I will also comment that we do accept all of staff's recommendations that were listed out just a few minutes ago. So we have no issues with those.
And now I would point out that some of the charges about ingress and egress here is not primarily related to Costco. It's just the configuration of the site and the Windward Parkway and the timing on the traffic light. It's very challenging during the weekends, but you most during the week usually don't have a lot of problems. But the only time I go there is Saturday. And that's when there is the most traffic in the morning, and a lot of people on Saturday. But Costco does great work. I love the store. I like to see improvements. I think the things pointed out important. I was concerned about the way that is realigned on the back entrance or exit. But when I looked at the scale, it seems like you have 1 inch is 47 feet. So you do have enough room for trucks to back in and out. So I don't have any questions. I was just making a statement.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I'm going to open this for public comments. Anyone like to speak in favor, come forward. I saw you raise your hand. You can come forward to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Are you speaking in favor? Are you speaking in favor?
Yes, I am speaking in favor.
Okay,
Hi, my name is Blake Spencer. I live over at 1730 Victorian Court here in Alpharetta. And I just wanted to say this is all a very wonderful proposal here. I think with as being a shopper at Costco myself, those additions I think, is going to greatly help people that are shopping at the store and the staff there. The only concern that I had, in a similar vein to what you had, is at that liquor store there, at that addition. I saw in the photos there appeared to be like ADA accessible parking, and with how much of a bottleneck that Jordan Court area gets, especially around Friday and Saturday, my concern is that people coming in saying going to get gas are going to, it's going to really clog up that street. And so I worry about somebody with a disability potentially coming out with their shopping and finding themselves blocked in. So if there's a way to really address that, I'd really love to see that. So it makes it a lot more convenient for any Costco shoppers that may have a disability or need to use that space.
Thank you so much for your comment. Anyone else? In opposition or in favor? I see no one. So I'm going to close this public comment and see whether you have anything else to add to that.
I would like to point out that the street view picture that was showing the ADA spaces up by the liquor store, that is actually outdated, and the ADA spaces have been moved closer to the entrance. I think that happened a year or two ago. So those spaces are not actually ADA spaces currently. Okay.
Thank you for the clarification. All right, I will turn this over to the board for a motion discussion.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve MP-24-03 Costco/Oxford Road Green Master Plan, subject to the following conditions as noted by staff.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Just like to point out that the store does a good job, and we welcome and appreciate all that Costco does for the community. These are minor things I believe can be addressed, and I know that you want to make the customer experience the best. So anything you can do to address those before council would be appreciated.
They should study Buc-ee's.
Yeah, Buc-ee's is, they are way out in the country. They have a lot of space to deal with.
Good in and out, though.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. It goes before council on May the 20th. The next item is PH-24-11, Unified Development Code, UDC text amendment, exemptions, and Michael is presenting again.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. The next item before you is our text amendments to the Unified Development Code, UDC Article 4, to amend regulations pertaining to exceptions. Basically, the requirement or the text amendments that are proposed is clarifying that exceptions exceeding 50% of the stipulated requirement are to be considered by City Council. This is something that we've been doing all along, but realized that it was not specifically stated. So this sentence that has been added here addresses that. And then we are also proposing to add a regulation pertaining to uses customarily accessory to dwellings located in residential zoning districts as an allowable exception. Those uses include things such as detached garages, sheds, gazebos, children's play equipment, swimming pools, and backyard chickens. So this item is coming before, this is at the recommendation of the city attorney. We did have an item that city council was considering. It was an exception to allow backyard chickens on a property that was less than 1 acre. It was something that the Code Enforcement Division identified on a particular property. The homeowner went through a process. During the presentation of that item to City Council, there was some public comment that had asked, that thought that there was some issues, that it wasn't being treated properly. And after we looked at it, I did note that the list of exceptions that you can ask for did not include backyard chickens. So we are proposing to add the uses customarily accessory to dwellings located in residential zoning districts, which does include backyard chickens. It includes pools as well. So we are making that proposal to you this evening. The main thing, you've probably heard us use the term variance quite a bit, maybe exception a little bit less. Just to give you an idea what the main difference is a variance requires a hardship, while an exception does not necessarily require a hardship. And so the first 3 review criteria for a hardship variance and an exception are exactly the same. With an exception, there is a 4th review criteria. So you could meet one of these 3 criteria, which is the same as a hardship variance, but with an exception, it doesn't require a hardship. It just says relief, if granted, would not cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the purpose and intent of the ordinance. So there's an additional review criteria. That is what the distinction is between exception and hardship variance. The other types of exceptions that are currently in the code, just going back to the document, so currently you can get an exception, so again, not requiring a hardship, for minimum building setbacks, maximum building height, buffers and screening, signage, minimum street frontage, parking and loading requirements, tree preservation, signage height and copy area, minimum building size, and maximum impervious area. So again, we are just asking to add this additional item that you can ask for an exception for. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Any questions? Yeah.
I've got one, Michael. So let me play this back, make sure I'm processing this. So if an exception is part of an overall public hearing that includes a rezoning and/or a conditional use, that will be heard as is today by Planning Commission with a recommendation and then council for a decision.
It would. The only time the exception, if it was just by itself,
Right, a standalone.
would not be considered by Planning Commission. If the exception is associated with a conditional use, a variance, a rezoning, a change to the comprehensive land use plan, a master plan amendment, it automatically comes to Planning Commission.
And this isn't pushback, this is seeking to understand. For exceptions where it's highlighted in red there on number 1, if the exception does exceed 50% of the requirement, why would we only want that to go in front of the elected officials and not go in front of representative, what I always call regular members of the public such as us?
Exceptions and variances by themselves have always been limited to staff approval up to 20%. Over 20% and no more than 50% has always gone to Board of Zoning Appeals, and anything over 50% has always gone to City Council. It's just a different type of decision. It's considered a quasi-judicial decision instead of a legislative decision, and that's why it goes specifically to those boards and not to the 2-step process to Planning Commission and Council.
And I guess it gets back to what you said at the very beginning, that this sentence in number 1 really documents how we've been doing it.
Correct.
We don't send those in front of Planning Commission today, so we're
With-
documenting essentially what we're,
Yeah, with exceptions and hardship variances, we have always followed this. It just was never written into the code.
okay, thank you.
You're memorializing the current practice. Any other questions? All right. Anybody want to speak to this in the public? Please come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is John Courtney. I live at 120 Woodfield Lane in Alpharetta. I'm the guy who caused the problem. I showed up at the city council meeting regarding a backyard chicken situation, which was on less than an acre of land. And I'm not sure I understand, not that I should, but making an exception for somebody who's violating a law that already stipulated is 1 acre doesn't make much sense to me. And the law reads 1 acre. Doesn't read less than 1 acre, but that's what the applicant was trying to do, was to have backyard chickens that had already been in existence for 2.5 years on their property for less than an acre. So either we have a law or we have a lot of exceptions. I'm not sure which it is, but I wish government good luck in trying to treat all the exceptions that will come pouring their way. That's it.
Thank you for your comments. Like to speak about this? You're the only other member of the audience. No? Okay. Any questions from the board? All right. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Yes. I'm ahead of myself.
You're on a roll.
I am on a roll. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve PH-24-11 Unified Development Code UDC text amendment exceptions as noted by staff.
Second.
Motion has been made, properly seconded. Anything I'm missing now before I call for a vote?
I do want to address his comment because I think it's very valid.
Yeah.
However, in your particular case, this is brought to attention. I hope that there isn't an exception in your case, is not. But this gives us, or certainly City Council, the latitude on things that may make sense. In your case, I mean, I'm not on City Council, so I'm not going to make that determination. But if I were, I would be on your side. But I think what this is putting in place is a mechanism if there's something that actually did make sense. So, but I appreciate you coming, and I didn't want you. I think your comment was well taken.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries, and Michael knows what to do with it at this point. Anything else to discuss? Try to drag this out a little bit.
Just a reminder, in case you're interested, that Taste of Alpharetta is next week.
Oh, Taste of Alpharetta. Thank you. All right. The meeting is adjourned.